Have you ever wondered what it feels like when the largest machine on Earth begins to fail? Imagine standing on a deck as long as 3 football fields. You feel safe because the steel walls are thick. You trust the engines because they are powerful. The ocean is much bigger than any ship. In this video, we are looking at the raw and scary truth of maritime disasters. We will see how a perfect day at sea can turn into a nightmare in just a few minutes. Most people think they know how a ship sinks, but the reality is much faster and louder than the movies show. If you stay until the very end, I will share the one survival secret that has saved more lives at sea than a life jacket ever could. Let's look at what happens when the sea decides to take back the land we built upon it. Now, let's move into the next part of the story. We will focus on the moments before the disaster hits. The day starts like any other. The sun is bright and the water is blue. You walk along the deck and feel the warm breeze. Everything seems perfect. You hear the sound of the waves hitting the side of the ship. It is a peaceful sound that puts you at ease. The crew is busy with their daily work. They smile at the passengers. They have done this journey 100 times before. No one is worried. No one is looking at the horizon with fear. But deep inside the ship, things are changing. The air becomes heavy. The wind starts to whistle through the wires. If you look closely at the water, the waves are getting taller. They are no longer blue. They are turning a dark, cold gray. The captain stands on the bridge and watches his screens. He sees a storm growing miles away. It looks like a giant shadow on the radar. He tells the crew to prepare, but he doesn't want to scare anyone yet. He thinks the ship can handle it. He believes the steel is stronger than the storm. He is about to find out how wrong he is. The first hit happens when you least expect it. One moment you are standing still, and next, the world tilts. You hear a loud bang that shakes your very bones. It is the sound of thousands of tons of water slamming into the side of the ship. This isn't like a bump in a car. It feels like the earth itself is cracking open. The giant engines, which usually hum like a giant heart, suddenly change their tune. They cough, sputter, and then die. The silence that follows is the scariest part. For a few seconds, the only thing you hear is your own breathing. Then, the emergency lights kick in. They cast a weak, red glow over the hallways. You see the first signs of water. It doesn't trickle in, it pushes through the seams of the doors. It is dark, oily, and freezing cold. People begin to realize that the ship is no longer moving forward. It is starting to lean. At first, it is just a small tilt. You can still walk. But slowly, the walls start to become the floor. You realize that the unsinkable steel is losing its fight against the weight of the ocean. Gravity becomes your worst enemy. You try to move toward the exit, but the floor is too steep. You have to grab onto railings just to stay upright. Your hands are sweaty and shaking. Everywhere you look, things are falling. Glass breaks in the kitchen. Heavy chairs slide across the room like toys. The ship makes a terrible noise. It sounds like a giant animal screaming in pain. It is the sound of metal twisting and rivets popping out of place. Outside, the ocean is a monster. Huge waves crash over the deck. They wash away everything that isn't bolted down. You see the lifeboats, but they look so small compared to the waves. The wind is so loud you have to shout to be heard. Panic starts to take over. People are running, but there is nowhere to go. You feel the cold spray of the sea on your face. You realize the ship is sinking faster now. The back of the ship starts to lift out of the water. You look down and see nothing but the dark, hungry mouth of the sea waiting for you. The ship is now standing almost straight up in the air. You look up and see the stars, but you look down and see only a black hole. The giant propellers are high above the water. They look like frozen fans on a dead machine. Then, you hear the most famous sound of any maritime disaster. It is the snap. The ship cannot hold its own weight anymore. The middle of the ship cracks open with a sound louder than thunder. Sparks fly into the night sky as the electrical wires tear apart. Suddenly, the ship breaks in two. The front half slides into the deep water first. The back half splashes back down, but only for a moment. Then, the water rushes into the broken middle. It pulls everything down with it. You have to jump. The water hits you like a wall of ice. It is so cold it takes your breath away. You swim as hard as you can to get away from the sinking metal. If you stay too close, the ship will suck you down into the dark. You turn back one last time and see the final piece of the ship vanish beneath the waves. The giant is gone. All that is left is the sound of the wind and the white foam on the water. The silence after a ship disappears is a heavy silence. 1 minute, there was a city of steel. The next, there is only you and the empty waves. The storm begins to move away. The clouds part, and the moon shines down on the water. You see pieces of wood and empty life rings floating around you. The ocean looks calm again. It hides the giant ship miles below the surface. It is hard to believe that something so big could vanish so quickly. It reminds us that we are guests on the water, and the water is always in charge. Before we go, I promise to tell you the one secret that saves lives during a disaster like this. Most people think they should run as fast as they can. But the real secret is to stay calm and look for a plan. In every major disaster, the people who survived were the ones who stopped to breathe. They looked for the exit before the lights went out. They knew where the life jackets were kept. They didn't just follow the crowd, they followed the plan. Preparation is the only thing stronger than fear. Thank you for watching this story of the sea. If you found this tale thrilling, hit the like button and subscribe for more unfiltered reality. The ocean has many more stories to tell, and we will be here to share them with you. See you in the next one.